Hello, everybody. My name is Luke. I'm a music therapist, and Trudy was coming to the Making Connections program that was happening here at the church, and we would play bell chimes. So these are some people from the group and some people who just volunteered to be a part of this. And Trudy pulled me aside one time and was like, "You should play this song." And she taught me this song at the piano. We did play it once when she was there, and then she started saying to me, I started going and doing sessions with her at her house, and she started saying, "Play this song at my celebration of life." And it was always this same melody, and I was like, "Oh, you planning on leaving sometime soon?" This was in September, and she said, "Oh, no, 10 years from now, you'll still be around, right?" I said, "Yeah, I'll do it. Wherever I am, I'll come back and we'll do it." So Trudy, she knew it was coming. So this is this song. It's an Austrian song. We'll sing it with words a little later on, but this is the note. One more.
So just to sum that up, I'm Trudy's niece, and she treated us like we were her own children. She would borrow us and rent us and whatever for weekends or weeks at a time, and it was some of the best times that we had. The Whistler Highway, for many of you remember that probably better than I do, was a long and windy, snaky, sometimes not paved and with lots of rock slides road. So driving from North Van at that time was more of a 2.5-hour trip, and I think I was about 1.5 or possibly 2. It was probably shortly after Helen passed away. She took me along for the first time to stay with her. It was kind of an experiment, and she taught me to sing canons, and we would do that for years, singing canons the whole Whistler Highway. You remember how long that was. So after a couple of days, she brought me to Squamish to meet with my dad at Halfway to see how things were. And after seeing him for about 10 minutes or so and happy to see him, I said, "You can go again now." And I went back with Trudy. When I was 3, she put me on skis in a Hungarian dog harness. The rainbow place, what's it called now? Rainbow subdivision was actually a skiing hill at that time with a little rope tow on it. And she had me in snowplow in this Hungarian dog harness all the way down, skiing in front of her. And yeah, that was the beginning of that. We learned many other things from Trudy, and watching her on construction sites and doing that, I never thought, wow, she's amazing, she can do all that. I just thought, that's how you do it, that's how it's done. This is a song that was a special request. She said I have to sing this at her celebration of life when she has it, and it was one of our favorite ones. It's about the gates of heaven have opened and all the angels have come tumbling out. So you have to imagine these fat little roly-poly angels that are joyfully falling all over each other. And this is how it goes. Es hat sich heute öffnet das himmlische Tor. Die Engelein, die Purzelein, ganz Haus weiß hervor. Die Burgelein, die Mordelein, die machen putzig Dorgelein. Boy Raufi, boy Robi, boy hin und boy her. Boy Unterschi, boy Überschi, das freut sie umso mehr. Halleluja, 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 Halleluja. Es hat sich heute öffnet das himmlische Tor. Die Engelein, die Burgelein, das Haus weiß davor. Die Burgelein, die Mordelein, die machen putzig Dorgelein. Boy Raufi, boy Raufi, boy hin und boy her. Boy Unterschi, boy Überschi, das freut sie umso mehr. Halleluja, 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 Halleluja. Now I noticed that I'm missing the extra voice, which was Trudy's voice, but she always did the alto harmony, and that was kind of the magic of the whole thing. She had a lot of things that she added something to it, and that was the magic. But we have a different magic here today. We have Luke speaking perfect German phonetically because he just listened to Trudy singing this song and he went and wrote it all out. And then ChatGPT did its own thing of it and put French sounds and Spanish sounds. Thank you. Need to look at my. we'll start with 2 short videos of old friends that would love to be here today, but they're in a warmer place right now.
Good afternoon. My name is Heinz Wengel. It was 1966, 60 years ago, when I met Trudy and Helmut on Robson Street. At the time, everybody called it Sauerkrautstraße. That's where all the German-speaking newcomers would hang out. It seems like an eternity ago. When Trudy and Helmut managed the Tyro Lodge, we always had singing evenings in front of the fireplace. Trudy loved her music and singing. She would play the guitar and we all would sing in German and English. Every time I started singing, Trudy would say, "Heinz, please don't sing. You are throwing everybody off key." Trudy was right. I still cannot sing today. Trudy was a sun god. When the sun was out, the bikini was her attire. At home, in the garden, or on the many kayaking trips, one time she insisted rubbing carrot juice on, and that would give you an instant suntan. Trudy, 60 years, so many stories, so many days. You are my unforgettable friend. Thinking of you, Trudy, with all my love. Your lifelong friend, Heinz.
Trudy Alder was a great friend of mine. She was one of my instructors. She did a real good job. Trudy Alder was a great friend of mine. She was one of my instructors. She did a real good job teaching, and she was good with people. And she taught them, and also made them have a good time, which is what a ski instructor should do. And we had lots of good times with canoe trips and paddling. And I remember we going down the Lillooet River, and she and Helmut were in the Klepper Fold boat, and they tipped, and we had to go and get her. Helmut got to shore, and she stayed with the Klepper Fold boat. And we finally got her, and that river was so cold. We pulled her out and got her in the canoe, and then we packed it in after that. But that was quite a trip down the river. But Trudy was a great friend. We shared the love of classic music, and we had a lot of great, wonderful memories. And Trudy Alder was a wonderful woman, and I really appreciated knowing her all those years.
For those who didn't recognize him, Jim McConkey. I'd like to call to the stage now Leanne and Bob Dufour. I just raised the microphones and now here, put them down again. Is that good for you?
Hopefully, I don't know, is it? Not used to this. My worst fear in life is public speaking, so I brought him up for support. Much better. I first met Trudy in 72, 73 when I came from North Vancouver to teach skiing in Whistler for a year before going to university. We became instant friends. I also met Bob and never left. Whistler was a small world back then, with approximately 7 full-time instructors. Jim McConkey, Guy Barvowitz, Fuji, all characters, Bob, Trudy, myself, and a few Aussies. We all became great friends in a small community where everyone knew each other. There was endless powder, long skinny skis, and not much grooming. Trudy became more than a good friend, the sister I never had. We would all meet in the cafeteria in the morning before classes. I had long blonde hair, almost to my waist back then, and Trudy decided to braid it every morning into 2 braids, making me look like a Swiss or Austrian girl. Trudy and I were very competitive, and we would always try to beat each other down the run, laughing at the bottom. We loved to enter any races we could, and 2/3 of the time, Trudy would beat me, but I could always get her in slalom. Our highlight of the year became the Peak to Valley race, and we would start training a month before, doing non-stops down the mountain together and cross-country on days off around Lost Lake. Of course, Trudy could go around twice to my 1. I asked Trudy to be my maid of honor for my upcoming wedding, and Bob asked Fuji to be his best man. At my bachelorette party, Trudy decided we would ski with headlamps down to the keg instead of driving in a blizzard. After having a few drinks, returning back on cross-country skis was pure entertainment. All we could see were these headlamps going down in the dark and the snow. Trudy, our DG, designated guide, would pick us up, and 10 feet later, we would go down again. What laughter. And thanks to Trudy, we made it home alive and to my beautiful wedding in my dream dress, which Trudy helped me get, and Fuji in his top hat and tails. That was 50 years ago last month. One day, Trudy phoned me and asked if I would come over to say a final goodbye to Helmut, who was very ill. And please, again, wear my cute-looking jean dress that reminded him of Austria. I did, and we all had a wonderful afternoon reminiscing together. It was a tough time for Trudy losing Helmut, but eventually along came Peter, and Trudy was very happy again. A perfect match, and we had many years of fun times with them, one of which was my 40th birthday she threw. Trudy actually put a banner across the entire highway outside her house saying, "Lordy, Lordy, Leanne is 40. Once again, outdoing me in the birthday party category too. We had so much fun over the years, one adventure after another. Heli skiing, canoeing down the Lillooet with Jim, horseback riding, and cookouts with our Mount Currie ski school friends, all dressed in our cowboy finest. And then our trip from hell. Trudy and I drove to Banff in a huge snowstorm, rescuing people in a car accident on the way. Due to circumstances out of our control, the Alliance failed all the Whistler instructors that attended the course. After dropping me off, poor Trudy totaled her car outside of Squamish on the return trip. And on the good side, eventually she returned to get her level 3, which she was very proud of. It became a tradition over the years for Jim and Trudy to recite the poem, The Cremation of Sam McGee, whenever we all got together. Jim would lead, and if he forgot a line, Trudy was there to help him along. One year, we had a large table of friends at the Pony Restaurant in Pemberton, and of all things, discussing which old person at the table was going to drop dead first. All the top candidates tried to point to someone else. What a laugh. Jim and Trudy, standing, finished the evening with Sam McGee, and the whole restaurant was entertained. Trudy was a mentor to me as well. I grew up in a time when women were supposed to be nurses or school teachers. When I moved to Whistler and saw my female friends Trudy and Betty Jarvis building homes and becoming realtors, they made me believe I could too. So I became an acting general contractor, designer, and painter, building our 2 homes in Whistler and our present farmhouse reno in Pemberton. Trudy, that's the hard part, I always end up crying. Trudy and Betty were always there to help me. Trudy lived life to the fullest,
I will forever miss all the great ski runs together, but especially miss you.
You did
Sorry.
awesome. You did awesome. You did it. You did it. That was awesome. You started it.
I, on the other hand, have a different approach to Trudy. I call them surprises. The first time we met on the ski school, obviously, but we were the guys who were avoid lessons because Trudy always wanted to teach. So we really enjoyed her because she'd grab the first lesson, we'd go skiing, and that was it. So she was a fan of ours, and we were a fan of hers. But seriously, the first time I visited her house, Jim asked me to drop off a tape of an aria from Puccini, and and so I went to the door, and I knocked on the door, the bell, and I heard it wasn't a bow wow from a dog called Fluffy. I heard a growl with 3 G's and a bunch of R's at the end, and that happened to be her dog. I believe it was a brown lab, muscular dog. You guys remember that? And so Trudy came to the door and yelled something in German, and it was Ripper. So I found out the dog's name was Ripper. And I couldn't figure out how Trudy, here I'm dropping off an area from Maria Callas singing Puccini's O mio Babino hit or song, and she's got a dog called Ripper. What a contrast, it doesn't match. So we sat down at the table, the house was spotless. She served me tea, and she brought her cookies. Meanwhile, Ripper was staring at me like he could just rip my arm off. But she had him trained to the perfection. So you never think a person like Trudy, especially after listening to the music she had at the beginning, very soft, and she'd have some dog called Ripper, but she had him very well trained. So next time, Helmut was quite ill, so I asked her if she needed any help with firewood. And she said, sure. So I said, why don't we go up on Blackcomb? And there was everything, as you people who've been here, you know everything was logged from one end of the valley to the other, and they left a mess. So I said, well, we'll go up Blackcomb. I had Joe Chesmazio lent me one of his trucks. And I said, let's go up there. She said, okay, she could hardly wait. So next morning I show up, Trudy comes out. She looked like a lumberjack. She came out with her earphones on and the heavy boots and all this. She was set to work. Forget this. So again, complete contrary to what you'd imagine, because she was so soft-spoken. She loved fine music, and she was very quiet and very pleasant, very caring. So we went up top, and we started cutting. I started cutting, and she would load. And as was cutting the logs, she would be busy moving logs on her own. She'd be there trying to lift one end and just moving everything, and she was working at a high pace. So and she'd load the truck. So that day we did 4 loads, which 2 in the morning, obviously 2 in the afternoon. So I said, Trudy, do you have enough? Do you want me to come back tomorrow? Hoping she'd say no. Oh, really? Do you want to come back? Sure, we'll do it again tomorrow. Sure enough, we went up there, and she just worked like a logger. She was tough, yet she was like a lady, to everybody else. So then she ended up in construction. She had her brother Uli help on a few houses they built at White Gold. I think they built 3 on the road there. I went there, and I think there's still 2 there. And then they built, the ones I worked on with her were the ones that going into Brio. There was 2 houses there. And I worked with her, and believe me, I was the gopher, and I had to go for her a lot. She would just, okay, come with me, pick your side up and help me out. And she'd work so hard. She was such a hard-working woman, and she did it with so much enthusiasm. And so Trudy was a woman of so many talents: the baking, the cooking, the building, the artwork she'd do, the music she loved. She just loved classical music. And with Jim, we all got to enjoy it, because whenever we went on road trips, Jim would turn on the classical, and we listened to it, and it was just beautiful stuff. Jim's a guru in that. And she had a lot of knowledge. So what I found about her is that she just was full of energy. She was always very, very pleasant. She'd always, in the ski school that was small, somebody's birthday, she'd come and bake her own cake. Maybe she'd knit a scarf. She'd knit all kinds of, mitts and gloves and stuff. I'm sure for people like yourself, she probably knit a lot more elaborate than. But she'd give us these gifts all the time. She'd always bring food and special gifts to the team. That's the way she was. And then she met Peter. All I can say was love, love, love. As Peter used to say, my bride. He'd always call her that. So when she'd be skiing with Leanne, Peter would phone me and say, listen, have you seen my bride? And I said, okay, I don't know if she's with Leanne. Somebody said, well, let her know I'll come down and I'll meet her at the bottom. He'd wait hand and foot with her. And then I'd phone Leanne, she'd be on her way. I'd phone Peter back, okay, she should be down in 15 minutes. He'd come down, okay. I want to make sure that my bride's okay. He was always, Peter was very charming with her, but with her it was genuine. He was just doing it. He treated her like a queen, and Trudy, he loved every minute of it. So during that time, Trudy's happiness flame was burning bright. When Peter passed away, immediately it started to flicker. She was never the same again. She was a very special woman. So we miss her. She was a classy lady that everybody enjoyed, but she had these quirks of surprises. She could work like a man, like a logger, and paddle like with Jim and do all these things, but she still would like the softer things, the music, the books she read, and the way she cooked and took care of everything. So we're very lucky to have known her. So thank you.
Thank you.
My sister says my scarf isn't on right. Thank you, Leanne, thank you, Bob. There are two dear friends of Trudy's from way back in Pemberton days, and maybe some of you or many of you know Dr. Arthur Moody and his wife Mary. I don't know where they live now. Can you hear me well? Yep. But they are traveling and they aren't able to be here today, and they've asked me to read the letter. Now it's a long letter with lots of memories, so I just chose one section here to read. Arthur and I were talking and remembering Trudy one evening, and we began to think of all the wonderful and sometimes scary adventures we had with Trudy. I'd completely forgotten how Trudy saved my life, not once, but twice, Arthur reminded me. We were in Mexico City trying to cross one of the large, busy avenues. I slipped and fell, and Trudy grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and dragged me to safety. I surely would have been run over had she not. The other time was in a small town in South America where Trudy and I had gone to enjoy a paddle. The other three didn't wish to come along. After the paddle ended, there was a huge crowd of people trying to exit. I began to feel as though I'd be crushed and found it difficult to breathe. Trudy shouted at me to cross my arms over my chest, and eventually we got safely out. I practiced this when in a bad situation and have taught my children and my grandchildren this. While swimming in Hawaii, Trudy and Mary got caught in a riptide. We were both strong swimmers and knew what to do. 2 people drowned that day. Trudy was a very talented person. Her knitting skills were legendary. I still have a rain hat she knitted for me, completely waterproof. The beautifully carved and painted key rack she made still hangs by our door. Trudy also made and carved the donor plaque, which hangs in the Pemberton Health Center. She made an incredible set of leather saddlebags for our horses. And when our house was flooded in 1984, she took all our shoes, which were covered in mud, and cleaned them all up. She was always there to give a helping hand. There's so many stories and memories which she left us, and so much I could say about our friendship. Trudy was a steadfast and wonderful friend. She did mention as well, after Helmut had passed, that, and you can read a little bit more, Murray Coates was going to speak today, but he was unable to due to an ill friend he's looking after. We've put up some of the letters and stories people have written along with photographs and some of the things that we still have that Trudy made. I believe a lot of the best things are things that she gave away, so they're probably living in other people's houses. They did an extensive trip, the Moody's and Murray Coates and his late wife Stella in South America, and that's where Trudy also ended up staying, I don't know, 4 or 5 months and working as a fetcher for a deep sea hunter diving down, and that's where she met the manta rays. These are stories that I only heard in the last few years when Trudy finally stopped moving all the time and sat down in front of the fireplace and started to relive all the adventures that she had and tell the stories. I would like to welcome to the stage John Hetherington, and after that, Tracy, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I'll just say Tracy.
Okay, good. So John Hetherington is my name, and I first met Trudy and Helmut in the very late 60s when they were running Tyrol Lodge. I was living in Old Toad Hall, and so we were their closest neighbors. But we didn't see them that often because we kind of went the other way, but they were our neighbors. Now, Jim McConkey mentioned that canoe trip on the Lillooet River where they had to we had to rescue Helmut and Trudy. I was Jim McConkey's bowman in that canoe. So I was very much part of that rescue. It was quite an operation. Jim used to love to tell that story. I've heard it many, many times. So another time when I got to know Trudy, and of course, Helmut was the first one that had to be rescued. I didn't see a lot of Trudy for quite a while. I was a whitewater kayaker, but sometime in the mid-90s, I switched from whitewater kayaking to ocean kayaking, and I'd paddle my kayak around Green Lake, and I'd see Trudy. She'd be out there in her bikini, sunbathing on the dock or on the shore or someplace, and so I'd stop, and because I was paddling an ocean kayak, we'd talk about ocean kayaking and a number of things. And I also knew Peter, so I would go to their house every now and then and to visit and talk to Peter, talk to Trudy, got to know them that much better. And Trudy and I would talk about ocean kayaking. But we really didn't ever paddle together. I was a west coast of Vancouver Island paddler, and she was more of a Desolation Sound paddler. But one time she asked me if we could go paddle Howe Sound for the day. So we went down to Howe Sound, and as we were, I forget where we went exactly, but as we were coming back in the direction of Squamish, the wind blew up, as it almost always does in the summertime on Howe Sound, and it got pretty rough, and it was building up some good waves, and I was able to surf them, a technique I'd learned when I was a whitewater kayaker. I don't think Trudy had ever seen anybody surf wind waves before, and when I suggested she try it, she was not going to have any part of it. And I also at some point showed her that I knew how to roll an ocean kayak, and she didn't think you could roll an ocean kayak, but if you're a whitewater kayaker, it's no big deal. So she said she figured I had some skills that most of her paddling friends and she did not have. So she asked me to put on a clinic. So I did a 2-day clinic for all of her paddling friends, well, not all, but some of her paddling friends. We spent a day on Green Lake where I was trying to teach them a bunch of certain procedures that everybody should really know if you're an ocean kayaker, but a lot of them didn't know this, and if they knew it, they'd never really tried it before. And I said, you have to try this. Some of them were pretty reluctant, especially to do a wet exit and how to get back in your boat when it's all, and how to pump it out and how to use a paddle float and all these other techniques. But what Trudy saw was that Peter couldn't do it. And so she said, Peter, you cannot be an ocean kayaker. And Trudy could be quite strict when she needed to be, and she was. So Peter never did take up ocean kayaking, which was probably just as well. But I didn't try and teach people how to roll a boat. That's a real difficult thing to learn how to do. But I taught quite a number of other techniques that I felt they should have. So we spent a day on Green Lake and another day down at Howe Sound, paddling across the sound and back and teaching them some navigation techniques and that sort of stuff. So Trudy was quite happy with what I did. And I'd go and to visit Peter and Trudy, and we'd talk a lot about things. But Peter was getting on. He used to tell me, John, never get old. But I don't know how you avoid it. And one day, well, he might have been, yeah, he was not about to try and roll over on his own because he knew he couldn't deal with it. And Trudy saw this.
That's the alternative to growing old.
I suppose. Yeah, well, he wasn't about to, and I wasn't about to try and teach him because it would have been too difficult. So I used to go and visit Peter and Trudy, and yeah, Peter would tell me, John, never get old. I'm not sure how to avoid it. But as Peter was, Trudy and I would talk about ocean kayaking a lot and various things and what trips she'd done and what trips I'd done. But then Peter was getting on, and he was starting to fade, and I could tell. And I think he was 91 when he finally passed away. And just by chance, I used to paddle. I kept my kayak at Trudy's dock. She allowed me to, and I'd paddle twice a week usually around Green Lake. My shoulders weren't so good, so I couldn't do a lot of paddling. I talked to Trudy about it, and she was getting to the point where her shoulders were bad, and she couldn't paddle anymore. She wasn't sure she could get in and out of her boat at the dock, which is a tricky thing to do. And so she was quite disappointed she couldn't paddle anymore. She used to bring her boat out and look at it, and it would be parked on the lawn, but she didn't really want a chance getting into it at the dock. And then finally, Peter passed away, and I just happened to decide to go kayaking the next day. And Trudy was down on the dock. She said, that's the second husband I've survived. And but it was sad, and Trudy really missed Peter. Peter was a huge part of her life, and you could see that Trudy was sort of fading afterwards. And unfortunately, like all of us, she was getting older. I think we all know what that's about, but finally she passed away as well. And frankly, I miss her severely, and I think we all truly miss her. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. That was great. Everyone? Teddy. Thank you. You coming up?
I'm going to give it a try. I think it's Eeftink.
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 It's a Dutch name. So those of you
You're going to have to use
that
the mic.
remember me from when I lived here, my last name was Morben, and I was in the ski school, and I moved away and married a Dutchman, and his last name was Eeftink. So I always have to explain that to everyone. So excuse me if I'm reading a lot. I don't want to say anything dumb, so I wrote down what I'd like to say. So, remembering Trudy, it was a life of friendship, adventure, and creativity. Trudy and I first crossed paths in Whistler when I was 21 years old, and our friendship quickly became filled with memorable experiences and laughter. One summer, I worked for Peter and Trudy, helping build their home on Green Lake. Trudy's brother Uli was the builder, a talented craftsman, and the collaborative spirit among us made the project not just productive, but genuinely enjoyable. With Trudy's canoe and Peter's catamaran, we took to Green Lake several times that summer, making the most of the beautiful surroundings at their doorstep. There are countless stories from those days, many of which leave me a bit red-faced, as Trudy had a knack for embellishing tales in her favor. Her sense of humor was infectious, and lunch breaks were filled with both serious discussions about the tasks at hand and an abundance of amusing anecdotes. One story stands out. So it was during a lunch break, as was her custom, Trudy was sunbathing nude on the dock. I was waiting for a canoe club friend to arrive for a house tour when all at once chaos erupted. My friend arrived, a black bear wandered into the yard, and Trudy's dog began barking at the bear. So, in the confusion, I called out for Trudy to call the dog, and she didn't understand why, but did as asked. The dog dashed down to the dock with the bear chasing it, and as Trudy stood up, the bear, startled to see her nude, jumped into the lake. So that day I earned years of teasing for my inability to keep everything under control. So helping with the house was a significant learning experience for me. Under Trudy's guidance, I did miscellaneous tasks. I think Bob knows about this. It sounds like he knows too. I shopped for lumber, I painted, and straightened nails. And my personal favorite was insulating the 3-foot crawl space. Trudy was the strongest person I had ever met. She always pushed herself, never shying away from hard work. I vividly recall the time I was carrying a sawhorse to the side of the house, and Trudy ran past me carrying 2 sawhorses at once. And it was moments like these that made me realize that I wanted to be just like her. So Trudy infused her Austrian style into the many stuccoed houses she designed and co-built around Whistler, painting Edelweiss flowers on beams, doors, and shutters. Trudy's artistry was evident even before attending an interior design course, of which she was top in her class, and it fueled her passion for artistry and creativity even further. The home Trudy and Peter created on Green Lake is stunning and uniquely styled with views of the local mountains, furnished with a collection of Swiss and Austrian antiques. Their roughly built dining table became the heart of many dinner parties where friends and relatives and colleagues from the ski industry were encouraged to carve their names into the wood. Over the years, an additional plank was added to accommodate the carvings. Trudy was always accompanied by a large, loving, and loyal dog whom she considered soulmates and family. Arriving at the Alder home, you would be welcomed by her dogs. They followed Trudy everywhere and were a part of everything and went on around the home. And they brought her immense joy and comfort, and she cared for them deeply. When I moved to the west coast of Vancouver Island to start a commercial kayaking company, Trudy became my greatest supporter. She loved kayaking, purchased several kayaks, and brought along many family members and friends, some of whom have become lifelong companions. Trudy occasionally assisted me on kayak tours. Together, we were very strong and capable. Our guests were well cared for and entertained by our antics. Trudy had her signature style on these trips. White rubber boots, tall enough to keep her feet dry from water overflows as she launched her kayak. And in the evenings around the campfire, she'd bring out wine to share, sipping from her silver goblet and jokingly declaring herself the princess, a title she mockingly embraced with a regal pose that I will attempt for you, the princess. lover of singing, Trudy was a talented member of the Whistler Singers Choir for many years. She would often lead campfire sing-alongs, bringing everyone together in a song, exactly what you would envision for a real camping experience. Her creative talents extended to knitting. Trudy was known for designing and crafting unique sweaters using exotic wools, silk ribbons, and fur, sometimes adorned with deer antler buttons. These one-of-a-kind pieces, soft yet rugged, were highly sought after in Whistler's shops. She always had a supply of handmade wool, hats, socks, and scarves to give visitors at her home. I have a scarf. Quite a few people here are wearing sweaters and scarves, I see that. And they're beautiful. And so you would never leave her home without having one of her knitted pieces. No one ever left empty-handed. So Trudy's fashion sense was distinct, and a few of us had conversations about this, like, how do you explain this? So here's what we came up with. An elegant yet rustic blend with an old world flair. She was creative in dressing up to go out with Peter for an event, accessorizing with remarkable jewelry, and creating her own signature looks. Trudy embodied an attitude of doing her best, staying engaged, being fun and different, showing interest in others, and never wasting anything. Her presence, creativity, and spirit left a lasting impression on everyone she met. Thank you.
I could
So we're going to invite you to sing this Yo-Yo song that we've been singing. You might think that's a lot of that song, but this is the song that Trudy asked for, and more, as I sing with her near the end of her life, we'd start with it, and then we'd sing a couple other songs, and then she would say, "Do you know the one that goes, yo?" Yeah, I do. I know that one. So we would do it. We were singing this song in her room at the hospice when she died. This is the song. She called them slumber songs. These are the songs that are for the end of life. They're for celebrations of life. They're for moving on.
This is a traditional, it's called the Andachtsjodler, which translates to a memorial yodel. So there's a different type of the sound of the yodel. I was going to string it on you to see, I was going to sing it for you, but then this is your chance to join that with Trudy's wish to have the whole room singing it. So sing it, comment, whichever way, in harmony.
Yeah, and the words are yodel sounds, so you can't get them wrong.
On a different note, I would like to invite Julie Quinlan. I believe another one of the fortunate gophers and helpers.
Mine requires a little costume. Tracy? I found this in the closet and I thought it was really fitting, so there you go. Good afternoon, everyone. I met the Alders in 1992 when they were building their new home. I was a nurse at the time, and there weren't a lot of available hours at the Whistler Healthcare Center so I quickly became Trudy's sidekick, painting, staining, doing whatever was needed. I have no doubt she's the reason behind my love of renovations. My husband can attest to that. I'm happiest with a paintbrush in hand, a wall to demo, or a kitchen to remodel. I quickly became part of the family, instantly. We worked hard, then broke bread together. I carved my initial into that famous dining room table and created memories and a bond that would last a lifetime. They took me everywhere. Hawaii, Sun Peaks, I happily tagged along whenever I could. Now, who was there at Trudy's 60th birthday party when I did the fashion show? A few of us probably remember. Louise, you guys remember? Trudy had a habit of taking apart old sweaters and reknitting them, partly to save money, partly to be creative. I don't think I ever saw her buy new clothes. I used to tease her because some of those creation, now we call them vintage, were memorable. But truthfully, Trudy was always very stylish and put together. Back to the birthday. I needed access to her closet. Peter, my partner in crime, was totally into doing this. So on my lunch break, while Trudy was out cross-country skiing, I snuck in and started pulling out the most iconic pieces out of her closet. Suddenly I hear Peter racing up the stairs, completely out of breath. Julie, hide, she's back. As a nurse, I wish I had a baby aspirin at that point because I thought he was gonna have a heart attack with all our shenanigans. Anyways, you see, she had forgotten her poles, so Peter shoved me into the closet and told me not to make a sound until she left again. Her 60th was a great success. We all had a good laugh. Except Trudy. Trudy wasn't impressed at first, but because I was Julie, darling, she quickly forgave me. And then there was the beloved Alex, the Rottweiler. One day I was loading him into the SUV and said, up, Einstein. She burst out laughing and said, why are you calling him Einstein? I say, up, Einsteigen, which means get up. But to me, it always sounded like Einstein. And so the nickname stuck, and it wasn't exactly fitting. You know, Alex was a really good boy, but he wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. People have mentioned this in a lot of the speeches. Trudy was a force, physically so strong, with the work ethics to match. You saying about the two sawhorses, we were moving huge windows into that house, and she would just pick them up and just drag them across the, anyways. Our endless shopping trips to Vancouver, especially going to Chintz and Company, diving headfirst into those bargain bins and finding gorgeous fabrics at 75% off, those were good days. Shopping with Trudy was always a good day. Now let's talk kayaking. I'll never forget paddling around Point, I can't remember what the name was, but it's in the lower mainland somewhere. Waves crashing, me gripping my paddle for dear life, while Trudy cheerfully asked, isn't this fun? You're very quiet. I truly thought I was going to flip. That was the last kayaking trip I did with her. I suspect it could have been a payback for the fashion show. I had the privilege of spending 3 nights in the hospital with Trudy before she passed. During one brief moment of clarity, these coveralls came up in conversation, and she said I should inherit them. Tracy, you were close, but I was there, so I convinced her that I was getting these. And then she said something that undid me. She said, we had a good run, you and I. We never argued, we never fought. I couldn't hold back my tears. She reached up, wiped my tears away, and said, don't cry, it's going to be okay. Oof. I promised I wasn't gonna cry, but here I am. It is, and it is okay, Trudy, it really is. You had a beautiful life, full of success, health, joy, and love. You will be deeply missed. My friend, my teacher, my sidekick, and I am proudly wearing your overalls to honor you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Uh, there's so many things that come up that I want to say, but then it's kind of like playing on the typewriter when I was a kid and you push a whole fistful of letters at the same time and they all go forward, but they don't hit the paper. About crocheted things that Trudy made. I think when I was about 4 or 5, she crocheted me this very intricate dress. It was orange and green and black and had flowers and all these things. It was the itchiest thing I've ever had on. But she did paint a wonderful, beautiful little rocking chair, which was on loan to friends for many years who had grandchildren that used it, and we got it back yesterday to put on display here. There's so many things I would tell about Trudy, but I'm going to call to the stage now Shane Smythe. I could say, though, that Trudy, even in her very oldest days, her sense of spontaneous humor never left her. Her sense of humor in the situation where she would just do things, every opportunity, even going to get the car insured, was an opportunity for her to laugh or to make a joke or to engage somebody. And I would laugh and I say, Trudy, you might be losing your short-term memory, but you haven't lost your sense of humor. She said, you haven't lost your sense of humor. I said, why me? You're the one joking. She said, no, but you've got it. Most people around here, they think I'm a funny old lady.
Thank you, Corinne, for making me laugh. I didn't have the joy of knowing Trudy for nearly as long as so many of you have. But the 30, 35, maybe 40 years of our friendship will always be so deeply valuable to me. Trudy and I bonded through her passion for kayaking. On our first day out kayaking together in Howe Sound, she introduced me to Trudy's Beach on Anvil Island. This was the perfect little pocket beach of sand and pebbles lined up for the sun. Ideal, a mandatory stop for sunbathing and skinny dipping. This cemented our destiny as paddling pals. There followed many, many days in Howe Sound, some overnights, some in the pouring rain, some even in the snow. And then the longer trips around Desolation Sound and other expeditions all over the BC coast. Then there was the weekends where I was too busy, but she still called me and said, we have to paddle. We will go on Green Lake tomorrow. And every spring, 3 or 4 times, Trudy would call and say, we must paddle up the River of Golden Dreams tomorrow. It's running really well. So we must have done over 100 different trips of various types together. But it's not about the number. It's about the fun we had, the laughs, the adventures, the challenging conditions, some of those people have talked about. It was always fun, and the best part was Trudy telling the stories around the campfire at the end of the day. Trudy was a master campfire builder. She would never accept any help from anyone, which made sense because nobody could build or tend a campfire with the same finesse that Trudy could. I was just one of many friends that Trudy enticed into kayaking, encouraged, mentored, and shared her expertise with, and shared all her gear. She always had a spare everything. If she could get someone else to come along kayaking, she was equipped. Trudy was always determined to excel at everything she did, whether it was packing her kayak just so that it floated level, always. She pitched her tent with what actually could have been almost a Swiss precision. Peter must have had some look in that. And she was constantly working on making her kayak stroke more efficient, even though she had the most graceful, elegant stroke I ever saw. We'd paddled together for a couple of times before Trudy told me that the car lock code, she had a keypad on her car, and it was easy to remember because it was her birth date. And I realized how really old she was. This Wonder Woman was nearly 60. And she wasn't sitting on her dock at Green Lake knitting, although she did that. She was kayaking, 2 to 3 week expeditions, camping, hauling her kayak up the beaches, chopping firewood, and she was out paddling pretty well everyone else. Not John, perhaps, but everyone else. Trudy kept on paddling into her 80s, and she kept on talking about paddling, dreaming about paddling, right up until the very end. She did also keep knitting. I'm sure all of us have at least 2 or 3 of Trudy's toques, perhaps some socks, other things she went into in the later years. Trudy and I were nearly 20 years apart in age, but we were more like twins. We always knew what the other was thinking. We did everything in harmony, or as Trudy would put it, on automatic. We paddled at the same speed. We made decisions without even needing to talk about it. We liked the same distances, the same routes, the same conditions, and on the whole, the same campsites. But there was one that Trudy had a favorite spot in the Copeland Islands, and it was ridiculously inaccessible. There was just no way. But she always insisted that that's where we would camp, and she always refused help, climbing up the rocks, hauling her tent, her gear, and all the food, because it was always the beginning of the trip. And as everything Trudy did, that effort was so well rewarded and so worthwhile. The view from Trudy's Rock was really spectacular. Trudy was an inspiration to so many of us, I think all of us here, in so many ways. Her 2 bionic knees, her 2 bionic hips, the cancer that she beat, these were hurdles that she forged ahead from, stronger and more determined than ever. Trudy used to say that she was lucky to have made such a catch with Peter. And I agree. But I also think Peter was incredibly lucky to have made such a fine and gorgeous catch with Trudy. All the tributes that I've heard since Trudy left us, they've all been really consistent. She was a true inspiration. She was a very special lady and a very special friend. I can tell you that if you ever had to battle into a headwind, whether that was out on the ocean or in life, there was no better person to have alongside you than Trudy. She was a wonderful friend to so many, to all of us here, to so many others. And I feel so deeply honored to have called Trudy my greatest friend. Thank you.
Oh, wait. Thank you, Shane. I'm thinking of things that people haven't mentioned. I was thinking of the car lock, and I was remembering that Trudy has such a good memory for poems and ballads and people that she met, going to the store with Trudy, just going to Nestor's to pick up an item of food that we needed for dinner was usually at least 45 minutes, if not an hour, because you'd get to the parking lot and then in the store and just, oh, how did your knee operation go? Or how was your childhood? How does this, how do you do the run? She would know everybody that was there. But what she couldn't remember was the make of her car, the size of her car, or even the color of her car. We were in Austria one time visiting, we were traveling through Austria visiting relatives and staying with my grandmother, and we came out of the supermarket and Trudy put the key in the door of the car and it wouldn't turn. And she kind of, sometimes she had a way of sometimes getting a little bit agitated or impatient when people or things didn't do exactly what she wanted to. If it was people, if it was me or whatever, and she wanted to finish her sentence, she would say, sit! And I'm saying, not your dog, sit anyways. And with the car, She was trying to turn the lock and it wouldn't go. And she was pushing, and then she looked down at the door and she realized there was a person sitting in the driver's seat looking up at her and wondering what was going on. And she explained to them that she thought, oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was my car that I just rented. And then we found her car a few cars over. It was a different size, a different color, and a different make. Trudy taught me so many songs, and I'm getting ahead of that. I wanted to say something about her intuitive side, which I'm sure a lot of you also experienced, when you'd want to call and then she'd phone you just at that moment, or you were thinking something to yourself and then she would say it as if she could hear you think and answer it. And I particularly remember one time during this past year, I was sitting at the breakfast table. I was very worried about something going on at home, but I was sitting still and quietly, and she said, "Would you stop pacing around the room back and forth?" Because inside I was. Trudy also had a favorite poem, which some people have mentioned tonight, and she made me promise that I would. You want to recite it? You want to come, Winfred, and recite it with me? You've probably all heard now how it starts. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. And the Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen strange sights, but the strangest they ever did see was the night on the marge of Lake Labarge I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the South to roam the poles, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. Now, this is a very long poem, and to spare you, I have got the master himself, Jim McConkey, who will be 100 years old this spring. I forget where he is right now, in Palm Springs or in Florida. He recorded it for you. This is the cremation of Sam McGee.
There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the South to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but that land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. On Christmas Day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talking of your cold through the Parker's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. Our eyes we'd close and the lashes froze, so sometimes you couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, he turned to me and, Cap, says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess. It's the cursed cold and it's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet 'tain't being dead, it's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains. Well, a pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I would not fail. And we started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. Now there wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried horror-driven with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brain, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains." Now a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were numb and my heart, how I cursed that load. In the long, long night by the lone firelight, and the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows. Oh God, how I loathed the thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavier and heavier grow, and on I went, and the dogs were spent, and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad, and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in, and I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Lebarge, a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw it thrice. It was called the Alice May. I looked at it, then I thought a bit, then I looked at my frozen chum. Then here, said I, as a sudden cry, was my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames just soared, the cabin roared, such a blaze you'd seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. The heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why, and the greasy smoke in an inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out, and they danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I grimly said, "I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked," and it's time I looked, and the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar, and he wore a smile you could see a mile, and he said, "Please close that door. It was fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Lebarge I cremated Sam McGee."
Trudy and I shared a great love of Russian songs. We're just going to sing one of those songs right now. Kind of goes with the atmosphere of the song. Thank you all for your patience and what Trudy would call Sitzfleisch. It's the flesh that you sit on that makes you be able to sit for so long and listen. Gehe nicht, o Gregor, gehe nicht zum Abendtanzen. Schau, wie schöne Mädchen folgen deinen Spuren dort. Ihre weiße Hand baut dir Tee und Zauberbrot. Grüß sie mit deiner Seele, wie der Herbst uns geht. Kann ich auf eine mit den schwarzen Augen blau.
I said I'm not dear dear, so McCoy. Please say that I am sailor, read out stars fly. Read out stars fly.
I would like to invite to the stage Nancy Greenring.
Thank you, Corinne, and hello, everybody. All of us here had a really special place in our heart for Trudy and for Peter. And I can tell you that Corinne has now found a place in my heart. Some of the wonderful characteristics of Trudy are alive and well in Corinne. So thank you, Corinne, for everything you've done today to put this together. We all have incredible funny stories about Trudy, and most of them for me were around the table. And well, we sat there and carved our names in the table. And some of the people that I remember, of course, Tony Seiler, he loved Trudy and Helmut. Being Austrians here in Sun Peaks, I think they were part of what made him look forward to coming here every year. And Annemarie Pröll, a great Austrian racer, her name is in the table. Fuji, those of you that were here in the early days remember Fuji from Japan. But Trudy's hospitality was what brought us all together. And, you know, over the years, since it's been 30 years now since Al and I left Sun Peaks, every time we come back, we would stop and see Trudy and Peter and Trudy. And one of the last times I visited her, the little girl from next door came over. And she was a real little chatterbox. And the bond they had, Trudy and this little girl, it was really kind of fun and special, because Trudy was starting to lose her short-term memory, but she was so alive when she was playing with that child. I'll always think of Trudy as a person, for me, she was a few years older than me, not much, but when I knew her, it was just after I retired, and you know, it was the days of two things were going on in the world: Woodstock and peace and love, and you know, the flower power, but also women's liberation. And I could never figure that out. I never felt disadvantaged at any time in my life. And when I would look at Trudy and think of that, and we talked about it a few times, there was no hesitation about who she was and what she could do and what she wanted to do. It was just going to get done. And she sailed through her life with energy, with passion, and with strength that was really, for me, inspirational. And I guess, well, I know she's here today with us, and we'll always keep her in our thoughts, our memories. But when I think about Trudy, I think of somebody who really had amazing grace. Thank you.
Sing praise, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, I now am found. Was blind, but now I see. We all sing together and stand up tonight. This is the ending of the show. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
singing this song, and we just changed it slightly, and we'd like you all to sing along. Truly roll the boat ashore, hallelujah. Truly roll the boat ashore, hallelujah. Sister, help to trim the sail, hallelujah. Sister, help to trim the sail, hallelujah. Truly roll your boat ashore, hallelujah. Truly roll your boat ashore, hallelujah.
Trudy's boat was a music boat.
Trudy's boat was a music boat, hallelujah. Trudy's boat was a music boat, hallelujah. Trudy, roll your boat ashore, hallelujah. Trudy, roll your boat ashore, hallelujah. When I spent the last night with Trudy in the hospice, I didn't know it was the last night. She was lying so still, just sleeping. And I just felt so close to her, and she wasn't talking much anymore, but she was so present, and I had the feeling she was floating on a barge, just sort of floating on a barge down the river, and we could accompany her part of the way. And we all did today. And I don't know if she's kept floating down there and greeted by some other family members, maybe, whatever you believe. But I would say thank you to Trudy for all the things that I learned.